Okay, so I want to talk to you guys today about the importance of using your video in a Zoom call. I know that sounds really stupid. What? That doesn't make any difference. Who cares? But it actually makes a huge difference. So that's what I'm going to talk about. When you use your video, you decide that you are actually here. You actually want to be here and engage with these people that you're in the same, virtual space with. When you turn your video off, it basically just gives you permission to shut yourself off. It's like sitting in the back of a class and not wanting to be noticed. And I think even if you don't think it makes a difference in terms of your interaction, it does. It absolutely does. I know that when I turn my video off in a meeting, all of a sudden I've given myself permission to make a sandwich or hang out or just get distracted, period, and disengage with the conversation. So I feel like we need to challenge ourselves to use video every possible moment that we can. Yeah, people are going to say, my internet is too bad. Sure. But not actually, okay? So, but not actually. If you have a younger sibling and they have a Zoom class within elementary school, they all have their videos on, right? They all have their video on the entire time. So I know it's not an internet issue. And there are times when you have to turn your video off for a second because your internet might be a little funky, and that's different. And even when I have to do that, because I have to do that, I'll turn it on a little bit. I'll just be I'm here, and then I force myself to engage in other ways. So I turn my mute off, I keep my microphone on as long as I don't have crazy background noise, and I use the chat, maybe too much, but that's how I decide that I'm going to stay engaged. And if you're at Avanti, you've decided that you want your education to mean something. Education is not something that happens to you. It's not us forcing this stuff onto you or opening up your brain and pouring some content in. No, you've decided that you actually are in charge of what you learn, which I'll argue is the only way we actually learn. And that means that it's up to you to engage. Your class, I am going to argue that your class is as good as you make it. Sort of a seminar role. If you walk away from a seminar discussion feeling man, it just wasn't good. That might be because you didn't make it good. You've got to step up and make it happen. Because we can't make that happen for you, and we can't pull teeth. We can't do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. And I'm also going to argue that just putting your video on will inspire you to get into this stuff. We talk about cool stuff here. We don't just slap the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell on you and walk away. We talk about the nature of science. We talk about the role of the scientist in humanity. We talk about civil rights. We talk about politics. We talk about things that matter. Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta turn the video on. You gotta do it. Oh, and that microphone thing is an interesting point too. So I know people say stay muted so your background noise doesn't whatever, but Zoom already kind of cancels out your background noise anyway. So if you stay unmuted, it's one less barrier for you actually saying something, right? So because if I want to say something and I'm unmuted, I have to actually physically click the button. So I have to take that extra step to engage. And even if it doesn't seem like a barrier, it stops people from saying something that they would otherwise if they were in a physical space with each other. So I'm going to recommend using headphones. That way the sound that's coming through your computer is not going to echo and cause that weird feedback. So whenever possible, use headphones. If possible, use headphones with the microphone in them. If you don't have headphones, just ask us. We can get them for you. Just ask us. and then try to work in a sort of muffly space. Oh no, actually, let's take a step back. Let's talk about space. Where should you work for online school? Should you work in your bed?
Should you work in a car?
Should you work in a car? No, like you should make yourself a space. Carve out a little space. And don't tell me you can't do it. Like I grew up in the tiniest little house with so many siblings, and we didn't have any room. And there was like a tiny little closet under the stairs that had a bunch of cleaning stuff in it, and it was just packed full of junk. And I cleaned it out, and I made it my own space. Like carve yourself out a space to work, and hopefully that's in like a public, like a public space in your house. It keeps you a little bit more accountable. Like when you're locked away in your bedroom, like whatever, you can just watch Netflix, who cares? But when you're in the public space, like you've got this audience, you're almost like performing for an audience, right? Like your family. And it keeps you a little bit more professional and like on it. And then try to work with a space that has some natural light coming into it. So we know that natural light affects circadian rhythms, which affects your sleep cycle. And we also know that insomnia has a huge impact on brain and brain functioning and your ability to engage deeply in learning. So try to get some natural light. When it's nice outside, maybe go like take your laptop outside if that's possible. Have things accessible, like a physical notebook. I know it might feel like you don't need to have like paper and pencil, but I'm going to argue that it's more important now to make yourself engage in like the physical act of taking notes, or I like to take visual notes. Maybe I'll post a link to some examples of those, because that's just yet one more way to stay engaged and to process things through your own brain and your own filter, and reflect on them more deeply. So make yourself a space and maybe be proud of it. I'm crossing the continental divide right now. Cool.
All the water runs to the Mississippi.
So all the water after this runs to the Mississippi River. It's like our biggest watershed. And then Asian. Okay, so that's my spiel on why using video is important, and why the only person that can keep you engaged is you. So I hope you accept my challenge, and I hope to see your face. No, I'm not done, because the other thing that it makes you do is take care of yourself, right? So if I'm using my video, I'm like, I'm gonna get a shower. I'm gonna like brush my teeth even. I can't smell my breath, but like, I'm gonna brush my teeth. And I think that is also super important right now. So yeah, just one more reason to use your taken video. Okay. Yeah. Hope to see you soon.